So, because Reddit, a common thread I tend to see especially in the dyspraxia subreddit, is whether or not dyspraxia contributes to substance abuse. And, well, in order to approach the topic, I feel like I have to make a specific point first. You see, substance use and substance addiction are two different things. And, well, you can't really have substance addiction without substance use. You also can use various substances without getting addicted to them. And you can also have plenty of addictions without them being substance related, hence the term substance addiction. And I will say that while dyspraxia can heavily contribute to dangerous behavior like taking substances, thanks to, impulsivity, which is a very common thing with dyspraxia too, I wouldn't say that dyspraxia alone contributes specifically to addiction. You see, the important thing to remember about addiction and what makes it really hard to talk about is just all the different factors that play into addiction. Addiction as a whole is hard to generalize. And I think the closest thing we can do to generalizing it is to explain what the experience of being addicted is like. See, when you're an addict or you're addicted to something, you basically feel like whatever you're addicted to is the only source of comfort you have. And many things can cause that, not just substances, but also just different lifestyles, different compulsive behaviors. And so I cannot say in good faith that dyspraxia alone can be the sole cause of any addiction. I feel like in any negative life scenario, especially one that causes social isolation, like dyspraxia, can play a part. It's usually the combination of multiple different factors, including environmental factors, socioeconomic factors, and just a lot of things like anxiety and depression, as well as who you're around and who you grow up with, and the area you grow up in, and specifically what drug or what activity you're partaking in, your general experience with that activity. And overall, it's almost always a combination of things. It's never one specific thing. While one thing can trigger it, it's usually a domino effect of multiple things leading up to that addiction. It's also important to remember that addiction alone usually isn't the primary issue, but a sign or a symptom of a much bigger issue. And the addiction itself is being used as an escape from this issue. And again, this may not be the sole reason for the addiction. While dyspraxia does play its part in both us being compulsive, so we're more inclined to take the risk of going ahead and taking a substance that may lead to addiction, I wouldn't say that dyspraxia alone causes it. And again, if you're in the wrong environmental factors, or you're just having a really bad time in life, then yes, dyspraxia can add on to that with the anxiety and depression, and thus make you more inclined to do said substances. But anything that would have caused addiction, depression, or social isolation would have sent you in that direction anyway. And I wouldn't say that dyspraxia alone can play that part in substance use or abuse. Another big part of what can lead to addiction is just brain chemistry. And even though we may all have dyspraxia, even if everyone watching this video right now has dyspraxia, I guarantee none of us have the same exact brain chemistry. It's just not how people work. And so while some of us may be prone to addiction, others may not, and vice versa. And so to say addiction is a common thread would just be making a correlation that just isn't true. There are plenty of dyspraxics who aren't addicted to things, and there are plenty of addicts who don't have dyspraxia, and there are plenty of dyspraxics who just have never tried drugs before, despite their impulsivity. It's just environmental factors. It's just there's so much that goes into it that I cannot say that dyspraxia is a sole cause of addiction. It is also important to remember, because I really don't want to talk about this topic, especially on this YouTube channel, but you know, I feel like it needs to be said. And if I help somebody out there, even if it's just helping someone take the next step to recovery, then I will have been somewhat satisfied. But just try to keep in mind, if you take anything from this video, try to keep in mind the fact that before you decide to enter an altered state of consciousness, dyspraxia alone is already an altered state of consciousness. And already with dyspraxia, you're prone to anxiety and depression. So to add any other substance to that is essentially just making your situation worse. All right, if you are really planning on doing any substance, do your research first and make sure you know what you're getting into and make an informed decision. But I cannot condone it personally. I wouldn't suggest recreational drug use to anyone, period, let alone with dyspraxia. But especially if you have dyspraxia, try to avoid any recreational drug use if possible. Just seriously, be smart, take care of yourself, because you know what, at the end of the day, that's what's most important. All right? We're all incredible people, capable of incredible things. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all go down bad paths once in a while. It's just important to remember that. You know, I know this video was shorter than most of my videos. It's, again, a topic I really didn't want to talk about, but I feel like it needed to be said, especially with this channel. It just wouldn't feel complete without bringing it up. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Everyone, you know, be safe, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and yeah, I guess I'll have a video out next week. So you guys have a good one, and if you or anyone you know is suffering from addiction, at least in the United States, I am going to leave a tip line phone number thing, just like a hotline you could talk to, in the description, as well as a couple of websites and resources. Just so you can check that out if you really want to reach out. Remember, the most important part of recovery is realizing you have a problem, and then the second part is actually reaching out and getting help. So, you know, even if it's not much, if I can at least contribute somewhat to somebody's struggle, you know, I would say I'm here, but I work most of the time. Hell, I'm recording this video at work because I've been so busy lately. But, you know, if you feel like you'd be more comfortable reaching out to some random YouTuber, then by all means, I'll listen. I'll try to message back as much as I can. Can't promise much with how my data is, but I will try to respond as fast as possible and as soon as possible. And yeah, guys, have a good one. Please be safe out there.